Ever since I was like really, really young, I always had an eye for marketing. I would always kind of pick apart and always be very critical of thinking that I could do it better. We're dealing with 20, 30-day shipping times, shady suppliers. The whole thing was the Wild West. It's not instantly 100K a month overnight, right? You have to build up foundations and real systems and structure and do things consistently and have a system for product research, have a system for targeting, have a system for ad creation, landing page creation, ad copy, launch it. I told two of my best friends when I was really young, I'm like, hey guys, I'm doing this and I'm committing to this. I'm gonna make it work, right? Like, oh, that's cool. We're just all young guys. No one really cared, right? But that was like the switch in my head where I knew, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I'm gonna force it and I'm gonna make it work.
Welcome to ClickFunnels Radio, the podcast that brings you the latest strategies, insights, and success stories from online marketers just like you who utilize funnels to grow their business. Our mission is simple: to help you unleash the true potential of your online business by harnessing the power of funnels. Join us every week as we bring you exclusive interviews and thought-provoking discussions that will revolutionize the way you approach online marketing. Here are your hosts, Chris Cameron and Ben Harris.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of ClickFunnels Radio. You are here for episode 705, and we've got an incredible guest here with us today that's been in the ClickFunnels community for quite some time and has done incredible work over probably the last near decade, not only for himself, but for tons of students as well. But before we get to him, I can't help but to introduce the best co-host in the game, Chris Cameron. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Ben? Good to see you, man. Excited to be here. Excited for this conversation, too. Like, this guy's multiple 2 Comma Club award winner, like 2 Comma Club X, like legit.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, this gentleman has really, I won't say cracked the code, but really mastered the fundamentals and the education side, because you really don't know something, in my opinion, unless you can teach it to others, and something that's been able to be replicated so many times. Again, multiple 2 Comma Club award winner, 8-figure award winner. Please welcome Justin Woll to ClickFunnels Radio. Justin, what's up, man?
Not much. Thank you so much, Ben, Chris, for being here today. Very excited to get rocking and rolling, and really excited to have a conversation with you guys, going back and forth, talk about what we were able to make happen, how we did it all. And it's just absolute pleasure to be here today. Thank you guys so much. I'm so excited.
Before we get into like a lot of the technical stuff, I want to hit this because we said we're going to bring this up. You're in Boca now, like you're in kind of a nice area. You've seen some success, and you know, some people have a flex where they drive cars. You know, they tout the 2 Comma Club awards winner, you know, awards and stuff like that. But you have one of the coolest flexes I've ever heard. So like, you just had who move in next to you? You got to tell us the story.
Yeah. So, I mean, first and foremost, that's a hilarious way to put it, Chris. And I think that's definitely super funny. And it's so random because I'm just walking down the street one day, you know, on a Zoom call, and my neighbor pulls up to me. He says, hey, Justin, jump in the car. I want to show you something. And, you know, my mom always taught me not to get in the car with strangers, but he's my neighbor. He's not that much of a stranger. So I hopped in, right? And he took me to my neighbor's house. And he's like, you see who's moving in there? I'm like, yeah. He goes, that's Mike Tyson. So Mike Tyson moved in. So we have Mike Tyson as our neighbor now, which is cool. Luckily, we still have our ears intact, which is good, but you know, rock and roll.
It's well, like the Boca.
Go ahead, Ben.
I say the Boca Police Department's useless now. Just call Mike Tyson to come over and just beat up anybody.
Oh yeah, I told him we don't no more HOA. We don't need any gate guard. Just we got Mike Tyson as the neighbor. We're good.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So like, listen, if you want to make a lot of money, that's cool. But listen, not many people live next to Mike Tyson. Like you've made it, man. Does it get better than that? It's like the pinnacle.
It's definitely a cool flex, right? And it's kind of like the party trick. Like something gets quiet or awkward, I'm like, hey, by the way, Mike Tyson's my neighbor.
That's right. Everybody wants to know, does he have a tiger?
Yeah. So unfortunately, I haven't seen the tiger yet, right? He does have a fenced-in backyard, which is good. So not too nervous, but so far, no tiger.
So you can't confirm or deny. There may be a tiger.
It might be in the basement. Who knows what's going on? But, you know, so far, so good. But I hear he keeps great care of his tiger, which is awesome. So the tiger's doing well.
You're not from Boca originally, though. So you said you grew up in New Jersey. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing and how you actually became an entrepreneur. Like, what's that story?
Yeah. So I've actually been building business online since I was like 13, 14 years old.
Holy cow.
I'm 28 now, right? I became a millionaire at 23. I got started super early because I was just really invested in just learning in business and systems at the time. I was just super, super infatuated with it due to a lot of things that was going on in my life that kind of pushed me into that direction. I got involved with, YouTube and, team building. I was doing a particular YouTube channel that I would have for a specific video game like Call of Duty, which is cool. Built a really notable team in Call of Duty when I was super young. A lot of my people and my staff were like, double my age and whatnot. So I didn't tell anyone like my name or my actual age. I just had my online alias. I ran a staff of like 60, 70 people at like 14 to 15, which is really cool. And I ended up selling out.
You're 60 to 70 at 14.
Yeah.
My kids might still have been playing T-ball, dude, at 14.
It definitely kept me busy, right? And I would say that's definitely what got my entrepreneurial excitement going, which is really cool. And if anyone's familiar with like FaZe Clan or any of that cool stuff, FaZe Clan's huge, right? Really respectable team in the gaming industry. We were young, and I was building out another notable team that was kind of rubbing shoulders with FaZe Clan, and I ended up selling that kind of portion of my company off to other people in the marketplace. And my staff and a lot of my co-leaders, et cetera, that I recruited from scratch got recruited by FaZe, which then became like $1 billion company on the stock market, which is really cool. Shout out to FaZe, great people. And yeah, like overall, that's how I got started, kind of building online, super, super young. I was good at the game, but I was really good at the business, at the marketing, right? And really just piecing things together to make the team become elevated, which is really cool. So that was kind of the start of things. And then I transitioned into, e-commerce and marketing systems thereafter, as that was my entry to just understanding that e-commerce and overall just online business was an incredible, incredible movement forward. And I couldn't have asked for a better kind of way to dip my toes in.
Wow, that's insane. And from that point, I guess, really got you ingrained into the, the online world. What got you interested in just selling products on the internet?
So the biggest thing for me is like, I liked to not be always seen, right? I like to do my business from behind the scenes, like build a company and the company would move forward and do its thing. And I don't have to be the face of it, right? Which is cool. So that was my initial kind of jump into the field. I started building, a lot of different physical product e-commerce brands in my early days. All the way up to me going to Rutgers University, in which I ended up winning the entrepreneurship award there out of like all 60,000 people. I had like 4 companies, like 3 subscription box companies, 1 other physical product brand, and also my consulting company at the time that I had built up over the years prior. And I ended up dropping out of Rutgers, right, and just going full force with everything that I had going on. So I guess you could say the most important thing for me kind of getting into the mix and the flow of e-commerce was the fact that I was exposed to it my whole life, right? I knew what the opportunity was. I knew that it wasn't easy, right? It wasn't overnight. You have to like compound your progress and compound your success each and every day. And I love that I could do that from my house, right? I didn't have to go out and be on camera, et cetera. And it's funny now because I'm on camera a lot now at this point, but when I was super young, I told myself, hey, I know I'm going to be successful. I know it from deep down, but I'm never going to show my face. I don't ever want to be public, right? I just want to be the guy who builds companies from behind the scenes. And it's funny how things turned out now, right? I made all that happen and I kind of transitioned to more like the public camera type ideology, but kind of.
I'd love to dive into that too, because you hear Steve Larson, even he tells his story about, I will do everything Russell Brunson says, but I'm not going to publish, right? And I think along the way, when people have this entrepreneurial journey, they struggle with that, right? Sometimes it seems disingenuous or, people don't want to be braggadocious or they don't want to be front and center 100%. And it feels icky to them. But do you think, this happened to you, there's a transition. Is that necessary for every entrepreneur if they want to scale? Like at some point, you have to own the fact that you're the attractive character, or can you stay behind the scenes?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think there's maybe 2 different prongs to it, right? You could definitely stay behind the scenes and do extremely, extremely phenomenal and well and scale to heights that you never imagined, right? But I feel like if you're trying to get the most juice out of life, right, and you're trying to really make the most out of what you're doing and your efforts and your energy, it's never going to hurt, right? Unless you're someone who is not able to hold themselves or carry themselves well, right? You're able to obviously elevate your movement, elevate your opportunity by doing so, by being on camera, by pushing yourself out there. And ultimately, it becomes a certain point where these skills that we've done these certain things, we know how to do these things. It's almost a disservice to not go out there and openly proclaim it and help other individuals do the same exact thing, right? So I think there comes a time where you love what you do to the point where you just want to help other people do the same dang thing that you did. So I guess maybe multi-pronged.
Was that the transition for you? What was it like when you're like, okay, it's time for me to kind of like step out from behind the shadows and actually come into the spotlight? What was that transition like?
Phenomenal question, Chris. And initially, so when I first started to do very, very well with e-commerce overall, like physical product brands and scaling them heavily, like hitting 30, 40, 50K plus days, I would post all my screenshots and all my cool numbers in all these Facebook groups, right? Like Ecom Empires, which is one of the biggest Facebook groups in the early days. I actually ended up acquiring Ecom Empires a few months ago, which is really cool.
That's great.
So the first group that we were posting, we acquired, and the founder, Nick Peroni, one of my brothers, absolute shout out to him. He's CMO of BSF now, which is really great. So when I first got involved into e-commerce and started to do really, really awesome numbers, we just posted in Facebook groups, just kind of showcasing our results and the systems that I would use. And I didn't even have any idea that anything would come of it, right? I was just showcasing the success that we had on our physical product brands and the systems that I created myself to really scale to those numbers, like micro big bang, algorithmic targeting, macro big bang, obviously CBO, all these different types of ad strategies. And I would walk through it. I would be very in-depth in the way that I would portray and talk about what I did. Because I thought, hey, I could post these numbers. That's cool. But how about I go ahead and show people how I actually did it? And that ended up putting me on the map a little bit in Ecom Empires, which is like the biggest group. And then it started spreading like wildfire, right? And then birthed BSF, which is pretty cool. I always had like my consulting kind of thing going, but we never had like a full-on infrastructure like we do today, being beyond six figures. And that's ultimately how we saw the first sparks of it being born, which is super cool.
Dang. And even so, your personal brand was built up through, I mean, essentially, it's simple as it sounds, giving value into Facebook groups. Would you agree with that?
Yes, literally, yeah. And that is how my personal brand was birthed. Because I'm not the guy with millions of followers on TikTok or YouTube. I'm the guy that could make millions of dollars with my business behind the scenes, right? But at that point, it was really just absolute organic wildfire, right? It really wasn't like anything went viral on TikTok or YouTube. It was just in the industry. It was getting a lot of attention because of the consistency and the momentum that I was getting, right? And then I was showcasing so many people that I would work with using the same systems that I had, and they would scale consecutively and consistently as well. And the industry hasn't seen anything as consistent as that ever. So it just became like an instant, like, what is going on here? And that's how it really got birthed. So that's a really great way to put it.
And even this question might take half a step back, but you've really hit the nail on the head with, your start and getting started through e-commerce. And a lot of people define that differently, but selling physical products on the internet, right? I'm holding a microphone. You sold physical products, something maybe like this at some point in time, or even currently. And a lot of people in our community, they get their start through affiliate marketing or selling info products, maybe going an agency route. Why'd you pick selling physical, consumer packaged products?
Yeah, well, it's always been because ever since I was like really, really young, I always had an eye for marketing. I would always kind of pick apart physical product brand commercials and always be very critical of thinking that I could do it better. So I would just see all these people selling physical products, and I was super young at the time. And one of my buddies, Amit, was one of the first people who kind of showed me everything that was going on. And he was crushing free plus shipping at the time, right? Slamming free plus shipping back in the OG days, right? I'm like, that makes sense. If you could cover the cost here, but it's free shipping, it's almost like a bargain, right? So I understood exactly what they were doing. I'm like, there's potential here. But then I started to say, hey, like, free plus shipping, okay, I want a bit higher margin. And I also love the fact that I could just stay behind my computer and do this all day in my house. And if I'm going to force the consistency and the progress that I know is needed to be successful, I can just sit here and do this all day long. No one's going to bother me. I can keep my door shut and I can just sit here and do this all day long. So I guess it was the initial ideology that I had a lot of opinions about physical product brand marketing before I even started as a young guy. And then I saw what my buddy Amit was doing ultimately, and as well as free plus shipping. And I kind of put two and two together. I said, this is an opportunity here, physical product. I don't love the margins of free plus shipping, but I love marketing. And I think I could definitely lay a phenomenal foundation for a few brands. And that's what we ended up doing, which is super cool. At first, we were selling a bunch of like animal gear, glass blown sculptures that were handmade. We had different suppliers from Etsy, AliExpress. And this is before real supply chain was a thing where you couldn't just get any manufacturer getting you 3 to 5, 7 day shipping, whatever it is. This is before like really any of that occurred, right? We were dealing with 20, 30 day shipping times, shady suppliers. The whole thing was the Wild West. But we found a way to make it work. We built several companies, and it was one of the most incredible entries into any business that I've ever had, because it was just like instantly I knew it was something that I loved and I fell in love with it. And I remember maybe months before I really committed, I told two of my best friends when I was really young, I'm like, hey guys, I'm doing this and I'm committing to this. I'm going to make it work. And you guys want to do it with me? Like, you guys want to come for the ride? It's already, you could consider it already done. It's already worked in my head. It's already done, right? You guys could come, with me and I'll make it work, right? I was just so confident. I was so sure, right? Like, oh, that's cool. We're just all young guys. No one really cared, right? But that was like the switch in my head where I knew, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I'm going to force it and I'm going to make it work.
Justin, was it something where, when people start doing e-com, all right, a lot of times they say, okay, I'm just going to go find a supplier and they've got a catalog of things that I can drop ship. Or the other option is create a product, have it manufactured, all this stuff, stock it in a warehouse somewhere, ship it yourself. Did you always do drop shipping or did you create certain products? What's that like?
That's a phenomenal question. So when we first started, I was doing both, right? I built my first subscription box company. We built from scratch, right? We sourced all the products from different warehousing in United States, which is really cool. We got the box custom made. Everything was custom, right? And I noticed that was a bit more difficult than anything else we've built.
That's a lot of work.
A ton of work, exactly. And on the other hand, I had dropshipping stores as well that I first started, right? That were a lot less time investment, a lot less work. That ended up doing a lot better, quicker than my subscription box brand at the time. And I'm like, that's interesting. So maybe working smart is the way to do it, right? And one of the things that I would say is most people who want to dive into e-commerce or do dropshipping realize that it's not instantly 100K a month overnight, right? You have to build up foundations and real systems and structure and do things consistently and have a system for product research, have a system for targeting, have a system for ad creation, landing page creation, ad copy, launching. Everything should be a system. And you want to have a multi-platform validation approach that helps you see what products are actually doing well. You don't want to just sell random products or throw random stuff at the wall hoping it sticks. A lot of people, because of how low the barrier to entry in dropshipping is, believe that they can just get started and scale immediately. You could do very well, right? But the money's made in the preparation and the time invested before you launch the ads, right? So when I see people who just run to ads and rush to ads, I'm like saying, hey, that's great. That's awesome. You're going to learn a lot when you run those ads, but the money's made in the product research. The money's made in all the assets that you create beforehand. So if anyone's listening right now and you want to do drop shipping, don't just rush to the ads. Don't just rush and throw random stuff at the wall. You find a product research system. You should join the Facebook group. You type in Beyond Six Figures on Facebook. First group, about 50,000 people. You go into the guides section. You see all the free product research training I have in there. That's how we determine what products that we actually sell, what products that are going to have great margins for us to actually stay profitable with CPMs and cost per acquisition, right? It's all about having higher margin product these days as well. $30, $40, $50, $60 profit per unit is what you want to go for, right? Back in the free plus shipping days, you could go ahead and get a profit of $5 to $8 and be okay. But now you want to go ahead and focus on higher margin goods and also make sure those higher margin goods actually have real demand now. Don't go based off of, don't go based off of last year's numbers. Go based off of the last 90 days, last 3 months. What's hot now? But make sure that's an evergreen trend because you don't want to run a 2-week pump and dump. You want to have a business and a brand for 2, 3, 4+ years. You want to have an actual asset that's around forever, right? Or as long as you're in business, right? And that's what we're going for here. Not 2-week pump and dumps, real actual assets, real brands, real companies.
So this is all based on the numbers and trends. Is this based off of like personal preference? You like to sell health stuff or you like to sell automotive stuff or whatever. Do you ever get biased that way or are you just, looking at the numbers and say, all right, we're going to move this because of the trends and the numbers?
Chris, that is such a good question, first and foremost. And I would say that's one.
Hey, while you're enjoying this, I want you to check out something else we've been working on real quick.
Why don't you let me invest?
No.
5%.
Nope.
6%. That's my final offer.
No.
Oh, you want to play possum on me? How about 8%?
What?
Take one marker.
Sign up for the first Funnel Way Challenge today and learn how to launch your business without any investors. You're supposed to go down in equity, not up.
Whatever, 9%.
The biggest mistakes that people can make, right, is getting in, already having a bias, saying, hey, I like this, I. It's not what the consumers want. So one of our students, Luke Tull, right, he just hit 5 million, right? But he's been doing it for about 2 years now. You don't just hit 5 million by starting, absolutely not. You struggle, find consistency, stay in the game, and then you could hit those numbers, right? Anyone who says like, 5 million overnight, you could do that if you're someone who's like a huge athlete, or a huge list, but if you're starting from scratch, you gotta build a foundation, right? You gotta have systems and structure. and you got to focus on what the market wants, right? What the market wants. Look at the data, right? That's why having a product research system that has back checking different sites like Amazon, eBay, watch count, all these different resources will help you see if a product has demand now, because you don't want to just throw something that you like at the wall and hope it sticks, because oftentimes we're wrong and we want to go based off the numbers and the data. So the market tells us what to sell. And that's definitely the way to put it. That's a phenomenal question, Chris.
Yeah. Russell always says people vote with their wallets, right? It doesn't matter what you do.
100%.
I love what you said too, is like, it's so funny. Like, I like this. Well, it doesn't matter what you like. It's what do they want? What do they like? Data will tell you.
It's so
Would
true.
Would you say that the aspect that most people overlook, or if not, is it something else?
I would say this is definitely the piece that people overlook the most, right? I would also say overall, just believing that because they like the product that it's going to sell well, as well as like them being able to read KPIs in the first or second day, right? You need to let the spend run for a little bit. So you have to give your ad strategy a few days to spend. If you spend $4 or $2, you're not going to have a very accurate CPM or CTR. So I feel like people are also making a lot of predetermined or mature decisions that they need to wait a little bit longer on, right? But not too long. And like the happy medium is letting your ads sit for a longer period of time to where you can see the KPIs, but not too long. What we call the 3-day rule, right? Is day 1, no view content, we kill it. Day 2, no add to cart, we kill it. Day 3, no purchase, we kill it. And if it gets a purchase within those 3 days, we then start looking at the advanced KPI metrics like CTR, CPM, CPC, etc. Right? We don't look too early. So if we look at CPC too early and we start killing within the first $2 of spend, that CPC is not even accurate there yet. We need to give it a bit more spend. So I would say exactly the point that Chris made before, as well as ultimately just moving forward and killing or not killing early enough, right, in their ad strategy. It's being able to have true KPIs and benchmarks.
Yeah, you're talking a lot about ads. And I find, and maybe this is different in e-com, right? I've done a little bit of e-com, but I also see, a lot of people in ClickFunnels too. It's courses, it's creators, it's experts. Would you say that you mostly dive into ads versus organic? I mean, we talk about you as the attractive character. What is in e-com? Maybe that's a little bit harder. Maybe you do stay behind the scenes a little bit longer and the product is what's forward facing. Is that mostly ads or is it by email lists, et cetera?
I love that. That's such a good question. So physical product e-commerce is mostly ads, right? Obviously you can add organic, right? You could do influencer marketing. You could list your products on Amazon and eBay, et cetera, do email marketing as well.
Affiliates.
Yeah, but physical product e-commerce is driven by paid media, by paid traffic. Obviously, you can do TikTok organic, but that's usually pump and dump mentality. Anyone who's doing real or big numbers is focusing on Facebook and Instagram and using Google ads, TikTok, Pinterest, et cetera, as icing on the cake. Right. On the contrary, we have service-based marketing where we've done 8 figures plus as well. Right. And what's cool about it is like info products and funnel style actual build outs. That is a phenomenal place to start with organic. Right. And a lot of the time I'll tell my service-based clients, hey, until we're doing 50 to 100K plus a month organically, then we'll turn on the paid traffic because you actually have an infrastructure that's built correctly now. Right. So a lot of the time, and with BSF as well, and our info brands and our service brands, we've started all organically, right? And what's really cool about it is once you get to that 100K month mark, 150K month mark, you can really afford to dump some crazy ad spend in because the business is so cash flow positive. And that's when you have the ability to really scale because your infrastructure is built already because you've proven it through organic consistency, right? And that's the most pure form of marketing, right? If you can nail 100K a month organically, you're doing something right. People are talking about you. People are liking your product if you're still in business, right? And that's the most important piece. Right, just focus on organic consistency on the service-based side to prove the offer. And then as you get deeper into things, then you add a little bit of paid media as well, right? So people should save their resources, drive harder with their consistency and their work ethic, get the result organically on the service-based side, then transition to paid media. Where on physical product e-commerce, a lot of people will start off with paid media from scratch because you're more behind the scenes and not as frontal like you mentioned.
That's like a mic drop, man.
I know, seriously.
Good. Yeah, that was awesome.
So do you see maybe the reverse trend on the e-com side? You mentioned paid traffic powers it. Now, once they do have profitable campaigns to incorporate influencer marketing, other things to spread organically for their brands?
100%. So once you kind of get the momentum going with your paid traffic and paid media, hey, this is a winning offer. You're not going to be throwing or paying all these influencers all this money. You don't even know if the thing works yet. right? Prove it yourself with paid media. See if you get some momentum and consistency. Then you can start to get fancy, right? And also, there's more than one way to skin a cow, right? So, like, this is just the way I like to do things. But ultimately, it's led to some of the most consistent success in the marketplace, and that's why I would like to do it, because everything that I've done has been based off of how I've came up in the industry, in the market since I was 13, 14. I've seen all the market regime changes and everything in between, right? And we adapt. I like to, look at people's systems and see, focus on those who are keeping that same system, keeping the same flow and just adapting, because it's proven, it works, right? Just like Russell. That's why Russell's so successful. He has the same kind of flow and the same kind of templated ideology because it works and is proven, and he just adds in new material, new incredible value. That's why ClickFunnels has got to where they are today, because of a proven concept, right? When you find that proven concept, it's just about ultimately, making it fresh and keeping things at the top of the game and elite.
That's such a good point. Ben and I have traveled to a ton of different events. And one of the questions we get asked like all the time, especially like starting with ClickFunnels or whatever, people want to know like what their upfront investment is going to be. And a lot of time that includes ads. So if somebody's starting out in e-com, they're like, okay, I'm going to do drop shipping. Maybe I have a net 30 or something like that where I don't have to pay. I can actually sell it, ship it first, and then I pay later. But if they don't have a lot of resources to start, and you're saying you're starting with ads, what type of investment can somebody then anticipate to start with, like for
Amazing
ads,
question.
for example?
For sure. So I would say for a physical product, at minimum, like $3,000 minimum, like $3K just to have for ad spend. Because you don't want to be back against the wall. I got $400. This has to work. You got to have at least some depth. And when I say $3K, that's minimum, right? In a perfect world, start with 5 to 10K, right? And make sure you're actually just using real systems and structure and doing things correctly, and just not some random TikTok Johnny, right? You want to have a real system.
Can they get started though if they don't have 3, 5, 10K? How would you do that in e-com, or would you go the expert route or something in that case?
Well, here's the thing. You could do organic marketing, like TikTok marketing from the start to save funds. And that's a really hot topic right now. But a lot of the time, that's 2-week pump and dump ideology. With TikTok organic, you're not going to see much long-term linear growth, right? So you could start that way. You could do organic influencer marketing to get started and just kind of play it by ear, or you could save up, right, and actually get some ad spend going, because Facebook and Instagram are the phenomenal places to be, right? But on the contrary, let's say you're someone who has a skill set, someone who actually wants to, coach someone because you're really good at fitness, whatever it may be. You don't have to start with any ad spend at all on the service-based side, right? Because you could start off organically. You could start off just using communities, Facebook groups, right? Instagram, your actual TikTok, to drive people toward a inner incubator. So many people on the service-based side, right? They'll try to use all their different channels like TikTok, YouTube, all these different things, and they'll use them singularly. One of the great ways that I found success is by taking all those assets and all those resources, all those platforms, driving them to an inner circle incubator. Right, an inner circle incubator is where you can control the actual content output and create a 30-day content cadence to speak to those people specifically who are interested in what you're saying. So you have physical product, right? You could start off with TikTok, organic, influencer marketing, etc., or save up a few $1,000s to start really going hard with paid traffic and paid media. Or you could go to the service-based side, right? Start off with little to no ad spend, right? Because you have a particular skill. What's the catch there, though? You got to have a skill, right? You got to have something that you're phenomenal at, that you're confident at, and being able to go ahead and push forward. And usually, if you're really that good at it, right, you're already making money with it. You made money before, so maybe that's not your interest. But it really depends what the person's focus is, what they're trying to do. If they want to be the person on camera, they want to be the behind the scenes person as well, and kind of just see what makes that individual tick. But if you're low with cost or low for ads, you don't have any dollars at all, service-based could be a phenomenal place for you to begin. And when I say service-based, I mean consultant, coach, course creator, something in that area where you have experience that is absolute elite movement, right? You can help people out, because that's the most important thing is if your offer is going to be able to get the desired result, right? That's how you're going to be able to really scale and build something incredible, is by building that insane reputation and track record of, this is the guy that just gets dang results.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about, you're familiar with the linchpin, right? This has been Russell, just has really been hitting this hard. If we talk about one of the biggest parts of linchpin is continuity. Okay. So when you go pick, and we talked about data, when we go look at the data and everything else, are you trying to find anything that specifically gets you some recurring revenue, something that's some continuity? How do you do that with e-com?
100%. So one of the biggest things that anyone could do is just get some recurring revenue going in any business, just to have some predictability going, right? One of the pieces that I actually saw extremely heavily over the last several years is continuity being incorporated on the back end of checkout, where people are having a unchecked tick box, right? Where they have the option to subscribe to a club, to get specific discounts and all these extra products, right?
I've even seen this on Amazon where they go, hey, subscribe and save, or right? You get toothpaste or something, and they're like, membership. You want it again in 3 months?
Exactly. So you could absolutely sell if it's like a disposable product or a usable product that they need refills on. You could obviously get them in advance to buy at discount the items that they're going to obviously refill later. And you could also create little membership discount clubs as well. Now, here's where I've seen people go wrong. You never have that pre-checked. That's not the right way to do it. It needs to be always unchecked, right? Unchecked. If it's pre-checked, that's called forced continuity, and that's not good, right? Never check it pre. It's always unchecked box because the user has to check it. You can't have it checked and rely on the user to then uncheck it, right?
Is that a compliance thing, or is that something like psychological where it's like, no, I'm opting in for this?
It's a compliance thing because as this started to get hot over the last 5 to 7 years, I've seen where people have it pre-checked, right? And that's completely against compliance. It's not the right way to do things. Always unchecked, right? Membership club, right? And then they have to particularly go in and choose that they want it, right? And that's the difference maker. And that's how you could do really well with getting continuity built into your business. But you got to make sure you do it 100% the correct way, because you want to just have a phenomenal business. And guess what? If people start seeing a bunch of charges that they didn't make, that's going to ruin your entire business, make you look like a not great guy, right? And ultimately put you out of business forever. So continuity could be phenomenal, but you got to do it the right way.
I got a question, kind of switching gears. So as we look at your business right now, Justin, beyond 6 figures, it's big, right? You've got your own COO, a CMO, you have an entire executive team built out, probably advisors that, you seek mentorship from. And I've been studying a lot about, leading companies and being a CEO and stuff like that. And a lot of people, they have, or at least something they do that completely removes them from their craft, right? A new hobby or a skill they're trying to develop. What are you doing outside of work right now?
More work. No, but also like that's a phenomenal question, because I'm the type of person where I'm very odd in the fact that all day, every day, I usually am always working, other than I will go to the gym, right? Because usually when I'm outside, I'm working on my phone, right? And as of late, I've been really, really in the trenches, just trying to really kind of push that next level. But yeah, I like to I'm into fitness, or I like to go outside, just kind of keep care of my mental health in that perspective. I'll go to the gym in the morning because I need to sweat before I start getting into it, because it calms me down. I'm very up moving type in person. So I need something that relaxes me in the morning. And that's the gym for me, right? Just sweating, doing what I have to do, getting it out of the system, and then getting into my work. And then I always look good to look forward to a great meal toward the end of the day. And I've really just gotten my days, and because I've been doing this since I was 14, to where every day is almost the same for me, right? I'm just changing out the material and the things that I do in the meat and potatoes, where I've pretty much built myself to be in the muscle memory of wake up, get to go. Sometimes I won't go to the gym. I'll just start working and skip it because I want to work. But I've just created kind of a muscle memory consistency in my head to where it is almost the same every day, right? Which might be crazy to some people, right? But it's what keeps me building compounding momentum and compounding progress. So outside of work, I like to go to the gym. I like to eat good food. Those are my favorite things.
I want to dive into this a little bit too more, Ben. When you reach a certain level of income, okay, you continue to work, but I noticed one thing that you put, you're like, okay, 2 Comic Club Award winner, business owner, all this. And then there's one phrase or one word in here that you wrote. You said investor. So tell me some of the things, now that you've heard at a certain level of income, you're doing your own businesses. What are you looking for, and what are your favorite things to invest in right now for ROI and big growth opportunity that may be passive?
Oh yeah. So, and that's a phenomenal kind of way to bridge off of what you said as well, Ben. So I guess this also would be one of my other hobbies, real estate. I love real estate. I've gotten involved in it at a really smart time when a lot of people were scared. For example, this house that I got maybe about a year and a half, 2 years ago, Mike Tyson just moved in as a neighbor. Yeah. This is at a time where no one was ready to buy. Everyone was scared because rates were high, right? And I knew a bunch of my really, 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 really rich friends are stopping and holding off right now. That means there ain't going to be bid wars. I'm jumping in. I jumped in. in less than a year, this place is up about $1 million in just straight worth on a bad day, right? And literally, Mike Tyson's the neighbor. All these houses are getting all built extensions for like 12,000 square feet homes. So like picked up at least $1 million off 12 months off of this, just living here, right? And I'll do real estate as well in like Fort Lauderdale. We'll get some like multifamily duplexes, etc. So I have a pretty good real estate portfolio, and I enjoy it because it's back to my roots where I don't have to be like on camera, like whatever it is. I can just be behind the scenes, like telling my realtor, hey, I want that, give them this offer, this deal, this price. I can be the guy, just commander behind the scenes, right? Which is kind of like my real, like when I first started, that's kind of like my person. So real estate's been huge for me. And I've been fortunate enough to buy some really great properties over the last 3 to 4 or 5 years, which is really cool. And it's taught me a lot. And I would say real estate, 100%, number one thing I would say for anyone right now who's looking to put money into something, not financial advice, right? Really don't know what I'm talking about. Just going based off my own experiences. It's real estate, right? Like real estate. And I only buy when I know my net worth is going to be higher the second I sign the contract. Right, only buying deals that literally, when you sign, you are richer. Right, you are worth more now. That is my only rule. Right, and people were saying, "Oh, you can't look at a primary as an investment. This, and that." I challenge that. I'm like, I can though if I buy it for extremely low and then know it's going to skyrocket. And I found the perfect place, and I made that happen. So I proved that point wrong. And I would say, like my first real estate property that I acquired years ago was a place for about $985K. And people told me, hey, don't buy properties in cash. Obviously, you could use that money to leverage elsewhere. I ended up I sent over $1 million. I bought that in cash. And it was one of the greatest things that I did because guess what? Now that income, it pays me $7 to $10K a month. I'm not going to do anything for it other than upkeep the house. It's went up $400K in value on a bad day. And I use that to go ahead and fund other properties as well that I have mortgages on. Right, where the renter is paying the mortgage, right? But if for whatever reason I need to cover more money or expenses, that money directly that's from the paid off house goes directly into my other real estate funds to where it gives awesome comfort. Just having a few properties or a lot of properties owned outright in cash gives you like straight up great income every month without having to worry about a loan or anything. I know it's a weird way to think about it because obviously you want to leverage your money. But for me, I'm someone who, like when I started to really make money, I wanted to safeguard myself. Like I'm not looking for the million X's. I'm looking to safeguard myself and to protect myself, right? So by doing something like that, buying smartly, I'm able to build that income, not have any loan on it, and then use it to fund my other real estate projects and maybe in which I have leverage on. Right. So I would say 100% real estate for me has been the best thing. I'm also into like stocks and crypto, but like real estate is where I prefer to have most of my movement, which is really good. So I would say absolutely real estate. If you're someone who's looking to get involved in something, like make the money with your business, focus on making the money with all your different companies, whatever you're doing, and then pushing a big portion of it over to smart real estate plays.
Are you worried about another crash? You were 12. I just did the math. You were 12 in 2008. I was your age in 2008. And dude, it was painful. I was trading options and futures professionally and lost a ton of money. And I saw a lot of people go big time belly up in 2008. Oh, so yeah. Recency bias for me doesn't seem that long ago. It's been a long time. Seems a long time for you. It's a lifetime ago. So not going through a big correction like that, what type of plans are you concerned about that type of correction in the real estate market?
100%, because there will be a correction, right? And there will always be corrections in all markets. So the best thing that I'm doing to protect myself from it is buying in the areas where I know there's an insane inflow that's going to absolutely beat any type of pricing downfall. If anything, in a down market, it's going to skyrocket more because more people are kind of coming here to acquire. So I'm only buying in South Florida, right? Buying in high class A communities of South Florida real estate, right? I'm not buying like lower end right now. No Section 8 for me right now, right? Mm-hmm. Even though it's a great play, right? I'm more focused on higher class A1 types of properties where the people that are moving here in droves from New York, New Jersey, all these other places, they're flooding Florida, and they're coming here from New York and saying, "Oh, this is cheap. This is cheap. This is cheap." So what's happening here is like an almost natural price readjustment over here in Florida. And that's what we've been able to see. Even when rates were higher, right, prices were still going up and still climbing. And now that rates are slowly kind of tinkering down. And we saw from the Fed meeting that they're trying to be hawkish, right? But in reality, they're going to slowly but surely probably lower rates throughout the rest of the year. And that's just going to send these properties higher, right? In Florida, in South Florida, where I am. So my advice would be, and also there's a lot more people who know a lot more about real estate than I do, but do research on the place that you're buying, like in your specific local market. There is different movements. There definitely could be a correction, and there will be, right? So you want to make sure that you're prepared. And that if you are real estate investing, buying in the right areas in which you know you're protected on your downside. And that's why I'm trying to only get properties where I'm getting it at an extremely, low amount, where I'm offering cash or something like that. So I could get them to go low to where even in like a 20-30% correction, I'm still where I paid.
Good shape.
Right?
Love it, man. Well, we've talked about service-based. We've talked about e-com. We've talked about a lot of different things. Yeah, we really have. And real estate, my gosh, I didn't think we were going to go there. But Beyond Six Figures is your company. And coming into this, I actually thought, that was mostly e-com, but you guys are doing service-based. You also have a creative agency. Is that kind of, what are you diving into most with Beyond Six Figures right now?
Oh, yeah. So we do physical product, right? We do service-based e-commerce as well as the creative agency, like you said. So it's a mixture between all three. And what's cool about it is I've done all three of them extremely successfully, right? Physical product e-commerce, service-based marketing, as well as creating all the assets and materials to be successful with both those types of brands, right? And what's cool about it is not only the versatility that we have here at BSF, but the fact that we have systems and structures for everything that we do. Nothing's thrown against the wall, random theory or crap. It's all systems, structure, and foundational infrastructure that allows us to say, hey, product research, then targeting, then video creation, everything is very layered and concise. It's all cohesive. So if anyone's looking for a particular real system, the proven system that actually works and is not just randomly put together and giving you 4 random products in a $20 pre-built store, like that's the type of kind of push that we have, is that we have proven systems that have done incredible numbers, and we know how to template things out for certain individuals in a custom way, in a custom fashion. So whether it's physical product e-commerce or on the service-based side, where we've serviced NFL quarterbacks, et cetera, things like that. And one of my fitness companies, we've actually built out the Panda Express back-end pronunciation program that they use across America, which is cool, with my buddy Paul Gruber, right? He actually has the whole Panda Express account, and we optimized the entire offering and everything about it. And they went ahead, and after we optimized it, they proceeded to purchase it for every Panda Express in America. It's like a pronunciation program for some of the staff, which is cool. We've done tons of work with Shark Tank companies in the service-based and physical product side as well. But yeah, I would say it's a mixture of physical product and service-based, because that's where my knowledge is. That's what I've built in my life, and that's what I've focused my entirety of my life and growth at this point on, is physical product e-commerce, service-based marketing and service-based e-commerce as well, and then creating the assets, the targeting, the marketing for those types of companies. And that's where the creative agency comes in as well, which is cool, because you can have my 8-figure team build out your funnels, your assets, your ad launches, do product research, kind of commission my team who's built all my companies with me to do just that for you.
Love it. Is that the best place then for people to go if they want to get in touch with you and learn more about you?
Yeah, I would say Instagram at Justin Woll. So JustinWoll, just at Justin Woll, one word, just my name. That's on Instagram. Check it out. Give me a follow, guys. You shoot me a message as well. Say you're from the podcast. I'll say what's up. And then if you're on Facebook, hugely recommend, if you're interested in drop shipping or service-based marketing or paid traffic strategies or anything that I've said today, go on Facebook, just type in Beyond Six Figures, one word, BeyondSixFigures, no numbers, just Beyond Six Figures, one word, spelled out. Go on Facebook, type it in, click search. You'll see the first group with about 50,000 folks. Join that group. That's one of our main groups. We also own several other Facebook groups totaling about 800K people across our groups, which is cool.
Awesome.
We own pretty much the biggest e-com monopoly in Facebook groups in the industry, which is kind of awesome. And it's been years of building to get to those points, but we've been able to curate insanely valuable e-commerce communities. So if you're someone who wants free value, free resources, join the Facebook groups. I give out free information all day, every day, and half our literally our systems are directly in the group themselves. So you guys just join it, click the guide section, and you get all of our free e-commerce systems. And we also have a service-based group as well that you can find by joining that group as well.
Love it. We could talk to you all day,
Very
Justin.
cool.
Thanks for showing up. This is fantastic.
Hey, Chris, Ben, thank you guys so much. Seriously, like, you guys are such class A individuals, and I really appreciate you guys making the time for me to hop on and shed some value. And hopefully I could come back one day and make it happen again.
Love it.
Love that. Awesome. Thank you, Justin.